I was hoping to air soundboard and insecurity with you guys. Would you mind listening?
Sure, go for it.
Okay.
All right, so this happened to me this month. So you guys might know this about me. One of my favorite fast foods in the world is Raising Cane's fried chicken. I love that shit. Now the location by me recently went to drive. They closed their dining room. They went to drive-through only. And you guys know me. I don't drive. I've gotten out of jury duty because my doctor wrote a note saying I medicate this man's anxiety. You should not make him drive that far. I am a doctor. Um, but if you order online, you could still at Raising Cane's, they'd bring it out to you. No problems, no issues at all. Recently, they got rid of their online ordering. I was like, well, shit. I tried to use my just phone call them. But they were like, we can only do phone orders for like catering orders of 25 tenders or more. So tell me if I went off the deep end here. I went to their Twitter. I DM'd their Twitter and I tried not to be like mean about it. All I said was, listen, all you're doing by getting rid of your online ordering is depriving yourselves of my business. I'd like to partake in my favorite chicken again. That's all. So they email me a coupon for a free meal. It would act as my payment. But it still doesn't solve the problem of me not being able to patronize the establishment. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't normally go out of my way this much, but I wasn't going to waste a free meal. So I call and I say, listen, I have this free meal coupon because I complained that I couldn't patronize, but I still can. So, like, what's going to happen here? The manager says, just get someone's attention. They'll let you in. So they let me in, and I instantly want to burst into flames because I feel like such an imposition. And, I order what I get. I got my Caniac combo and a Diet Coke. And I couldn't help but imagine they're spitting in my food for making them unlock their fortress and let me in. I wasn't going to waste this free meal coupon either. You know what I mean? I had t-shirts there, and I had half a mind to ask for a t-shirt and add it to my free meal, but I think that would have been, like, the point of no return. They took down my name and phone number, too. I think to make sure I didn't use the free meal coupon again. And frankly, I can never go back there, and the experience has been eating me alive since the day it happened.
Maybe they wrote your name down so that it's like a like wanted poster.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't let this guy in. Like, even if I did learn how to drive, I think I'm, like, just not welcome there anymore.
Well, I guess they should change their name to Raising Hell.
Whoa. A little scary. No, I'm afraid of demons.
Maybe you just need to get an Uber to take you through.
That's an awful investment for...
You don't think it's worth it for the chicken?
In some universes, yeah, but you have to bear in mind, I'm on a teacher's salary here, you know what I mean? Rev up those fryers and fill those champagne glasses to the tippy top. It's West Coast Toast and Roast with Tommy, Will, and Dav. Welcome back to West Coast Toast and Roast. I am the chicken eater on 2 feet and no wheels, Tommy.
And I am the, I guess, chicken noodle soup eater because that's what I had for dinner on 4 wheels because I actually have my license and know how to drive, Will.
I also have a license, but I'm diabetic. And that's completely irrelevant to everything we just talked about, but I'm Dav.
Second episode in a row, you've introduced yourself in some way of being diabetic.
It's a trait I'm very proud of. Even if there was a cure, I wouldn't get rid of it just so I could keep complaining about it.
That's fair. It's just like how I complain about my anxiety hindering my driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's good to have your things. Will, as always, you start us off, bud.
All right. I guess, I'll start off with a toast. I talked about it last time, so it would be fitting that I kind of complete the cycle. Going to just purely toast Kingdom Hearts 2.
All right.
I beat the game a while back. And it's a genuinely cool game. I still stand by what I said, and that it's, kind of a ridiculous series. It's a little dumb. But if you can turn your brain off and just enjoy it, it's a lot of fun. Big complaint I had with the first game is that the heroes didn't exactly act like themselves. They just kind of acted like cardboard cutouts. Like, if you vaguely told someone what Aladdin was like, that would be Aladdin in Kingdom Hearts 1. But in this one, they actually got the characters down, which makes it a lot more fun. Villains are fun. There's a character in it that's like really well written called Axel. It's a little surprising because it's like a very goofy game, but then they're like these, diamond in the roughs characters that are just unironically good. So that's my first toast, Kingdom Hearts 2. It's worth playing the first game for.
I'd be really interested to know, because I guess you were talking about how the Disney characters barely match up. I'd be interested to know what the translation process is, because I imagine these are written in Japanese first. And I just wonder.
Surprisingly, I just learned this. Apparently, they actually recorded in English first, because a lot of it's a bit like the sub versus dub debate, but over in Japan, from what I've heard, they like the games in English because the Disney characters start off in English.
I always wondered about that. If there are people mad if you watch subbed Rick and Morty in Japan.
Yeah, I guess they're kind of purists too. They think you should listen to the original language.
Wow,
that's interesting.
The dubbed voice of Joey Tribbiani in Friends is Sanji from One Piece.
Really?
I think so. Pretty good one-to-one. Yeah. You're the checking back in about Kingdom Hearts 2 related. Did you fight Sephiroth in this game? I hear he's really tough.
Couldn't beat him. I think it's awesome that Sephiroth is in the games, but he is basically for experts. There's no easy mode Sephiroth.
Wow.
Even on easy mode, he's like incredibly hard. There is a move, he straight up starts the battle, and if you don't mash triangle, you die instantly. And I think that's pretty perfect for a character like Sephiroth.
You gotta teach kids early that Sephiroth is just a menace.
Just insane, yeah.
Is he still Lance Bass in this game?
No, he's George Newbern, finally.
I see. I don't hate Lance Bass. I'm always going to be attached to George Newbern and the more recent iterations, but I think Lance Bass, is that his first voice actor? I think it is. And I don't think it's not necessarily a bad choice to give Sephiroth a boy band singer voice, considering that's basically what he was in Nibelheim. I just think that's kind of funny.
I mean, as someone who's super attached to Sephiroth, I really like his, deep, dark, brooding.
No, I'll always choose that. I'll always choose that, moreover.
Yeah, but Cloud's in there, and he's pretty cool too.
Is he voiced by the anti-vaxxer?
Yeah, that's a bit of an unfortunate thing, but I mean, I guess, since now he's Cody something in the remake Water Under the Bridge.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, it's a fun game, and I'm going to pass it to Dav.
Okay. I'm going to start off with I guess I'll start off with a toast. I got more things to toast than roast.
How it shapes up for me, too.
So this is going to kind of circle back to what you were talking about earlier, Tommy, about your chicken story and how you were unable to patronize that establishment.
Yes.
So I've been getting into lately a bunch of like city planner YouTube channels, and a lot of them have been talking about cities built around cars and things like that. But one channel in particular that I've really been captivated by is called Not Just Bikes. And it's this dude who basically lives in Amsterdam in the Netherlands with his family. And he's essentially lived in practically every country and city you can think of, because it's just sort of part of his job, I guess. But he settled down in Amsterdam because he realized that most cities, especially in like the US and Canada, are pretty much impossible to live in without a car. And most of his videos are about how cities like how these cities are designed and how they were originally designed around walkability until the automotive industry came in and sort of lobbied all of these companies to basically bulldoze that infrastructure and build more highways and add more lanes and stuff like that. And it's been very interesting because I mean, it's just sort of weird to see how other countries compare to the U.S. and Canada, especially when you're so used to just, of course, everybody has a car and this is how you get around. But of course, in like some place like in Amsterdam, you can have a bike and get around perfectly fine and not ever have to own a car.
Wow.
But there's like a lot of movements basically to try to bring this over to the U.S. and Canada, which I'm very interested in looking at. But it's kind of riling me up, wanting me to get into the activism of it because I think that would be very good for the country. But yeah, this guy's channel is basically a gold mine for information on stuff like that. I think he's one of the most popular YouTubers who talks about it, and it's super interesting stuff. I totally recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I've always wanted, like, for someone who lives in LA and I like detest traffic, I've always wanted, there's got to be a better way. So that's good to know that other countries can actually do that.
Yeah, because the common misconception is that the cure for high traffic is to add more lanes or whatever, but it turns
It
out that's
never
not
works.
really the case. No,
More lanes,
that just
more
makes
traffic.
yeah, that just makes more people want to like use the road. But the real solution would be better public transit, walkability, bikeability, and more so than anything, the main pushback on that is like, well, stores and stuff are far away from each other, and your house is probably far away from where you need to work. But the truth is that the reason that is because that's part of the lobbying. Like we got rid of mixed use zoning, so you won't really see like a house or an apartment built on top of a shop anymore in the U.S., which is pretty common in other countries because that's like a really convenient thing to do.
Oh. Golly. So this guy is it like kind of a docu-series kind of thing where just each video he kind of covers a different aspect of the discussion, or is it almost like a diary where it's just his life as someone without a car?
Mostly the former. He'll get like a lot of footage of like attempts to walk in different cities and see how they compare and stuff. Like one that he really did, I think, was either Houston or Austin, somewhere down in Texas, and I mean, he just like documented like, oh, here's a sidewalk that just ends for no reason, and here's a just wide ass street that you're expected to walk across, and things like that. It's kind of weird when he points it out like that.
I'm completely the amount of like muddy construction sites I've walked through just to reach Dairy Queen while I'm waiting for a bus. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's kind of a travesty. It's a real shame.
Bullshit. Yeah, like it all comes back to capitalism, of course. I don't know how I didn't think of it sooner.
I mean, it's kind of like how we basically use things like TurboTax and we pay them to tell us how much we owe in taxes because they lobby the government to be like, don't tell them how much they owe in taxes so that we can make money.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing. Then they've like convinced you that that's the way that it's supposed to be, but it really isn't.
It's like the guy in BoJack Horseman who just kills somebody because it's legal for millionaires to murder.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh. Well, that sounds fascinating. I'll happily check that out. Do you mind if I segue? At the risk of a street segue.
Yeah, I'll pass it off to you.
Anyway, this movie has a fascinating, interesting. I really want to discuss it. It's originally called The Wind in the Willows.
Wait, are you toasting or roasting?
Sorry, I am toasting. This is a good movie.
Okay.
So, this is The Wind in the Willows. This is the Monty Python guys making an adaptation of the story of The Wind in the Willows. So, like Mr. Toad, the Weasels, all that jazz. And I've always really been attached to those characters, and so just these zany British guys making their own adaptation sounded really fun. Here's what happened, though, was that it did not do well in the UK to the point that they had trouble finding distribution in America. So Disney bought it and retitled it Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Huh.
Yeah. So they kind of just were like, well, that's one less thing we need to remake in live action. I think because it's so disparate from like the animated Mr. Toad that Disney's more known for, it kind of got buried. This is not on Disney Plus. I had to like it's bootlegged on YouTube. That's the only way to watch it, unless you can find like a cheap DVD on eBay, which I did because I care that much about preservation of media. That upload could be gone tomorrow, and you have no way to watch it. This is an interesting movie. Or was one of you gonna say something? I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna. When was this made?
90. Crap. The Wind and Willows movie. 1996.
Okay.
So this is a live action film where Terry Jones is Mr. Toad, and to signify that, he has a round fat suit, so he looks like a plum, and just like green face paint, and he has these skinny legs that he hops around like a toad on. Everyone has that really minimalist approach to their costumes. All the weasels just have these like yellow zoot suits and like spindly little whiskers. I kind of love the aesthetic of it. Um as a very British sensibility, Stephen Fry is literally a clock that says tea time at a certain time of day. And he's in Mr. Mole's house, and when Mr. Mole's house gets destroyed, they're digging through the rubble and they just find him under there, like choking. Tea time. Just that very Monty Python sensibility. Is it John Cleese who's in trouble recently for showing his ass?
I actually don't know.
It's the first time hearing of it.
I think it's him who's just like it's not even like anything like awful. It's just like he's tweeting about here's a woke joke, and it's like I don't know, like if we couldn't offend people, no one would have humor. Some of that. So a little ironic that I'm bringing him up. I think he's Mr. Rat in this. I think more people should talk about this movie because it kind of cheeses me off that Disney bought the rights to it, and then when they realized it was just kind of strange and it didn't really match their vision, they just like threw it away like a side of broccoli they didn't order because it's more, even if it's fucking weird, it's a hell of a lot more imaginative than any of their like live action remakes and shit.
Yeah, I mean the live action remakes aren't great. So, I mean, I'd rather something be just like super weird and remember it than it be like, wow, that was Cinderella in live action.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's the most British thing imaginable. It's got that it's like one of the most beloved British children's books adapted by the most beloved British comedians, and the result is exactly what that sounds like. The weird faces in the sun and songs all over the place. It's the 1996 version, for people who want to look it up. Because if you look up Wind in the Willows movie, you'll get a lot of stuff. Will, I shall allow you to take the next turn.
Okay. I guess, I'll talk about Tron. I'm going to toast Tron. We watched it a while back for, me and the guys do some movie nights. And I forgot how cool of a movie it is. Very 80s. It's just really cheesy. But the visuals they're bad by today's standard, but they've got like a certain charm about it.
I don't know if I'd call them bad. It's of a very specific time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like when the characters are supposed to be like represented as, data, they're supposed to like have these their suits are supposed to look robotic, but you can like tell that it's clothes, like it's just cloth, because it like moves and shifts that way. But it's just like it's a really cool idea, and even for like the time, I still think the visuals hold up, but like not in the way you'd think. Because like there's a scene where, if you haven't seen Tron, spoiler alert, Jeff Bridges' character gets sucked into a computer, and he gets scanned and like uploaded into the computer. And the way he gets uploaded is so cool because it like zaps each one of like the squares on his skin. And then like
They're stuck in that pose too. Huh!
Yeah.
And it like just gradually scans him over.
Yeah, and then when he's getting like scanned in, you like see a bunch of computer data and um like an almost 2001: A Space Odyssey esque like landscape. It's just really cool, and I love the light cycles. I love really love Jeff Bridges. I love the Master Control program. I just think it's a really fun movie. I know, like, we talk a lot about, turning your brain off, but I think if you go into it and just like have fun, it's just a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's a great, just fun time.
Yeah.
I went to go rate it on Letterboxd after we watched it, and I saw a review written by a critic I closely follow. He gave it 9 out of 10 stars, and he said, "Nearly a perfect movie, 1 point docked for being gibberish."
Yeah, I mean, it's a ridiculous idea that every computer program we make has a soul and like it's a person. Um, like, God, imagine how many just terrible computer programs there are. There's so many, like, there's, those pop-up ads that are like, we've been trying to reach you because you have a $1 million settlement. It's
Well,
like, what
Will,
kind of-
if you really want to dive deep into that, I have a movie for you.
what movie?
It's called Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you guys
Possibly
this.
one of the greatest.
One of my students, apropos of nothing, just emailed me the clip of Ralph rickrolling.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges always manages to be just like really effortlessly likable in everything he's in. I'm always pretty he's never just like a guy. It's always just a level of Jeff Bridges cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Although I'm almost positive, this is like my conspiracy theory, I'm almost positive that was supposed to be Kurt Russell.
You don't say.
I don't know, I'd have to look it up, but it feels like a very Kurt Russell character.
I could totally see that. And Kurt Russell was in a ton of the old live action Disney stuff, and a couple animated ones too.
Yeah, because what was he in?
He's in The Fox and the Hound. Is he in? No, that's Tom Hanks, right? In Splash. What else is Kurt Russell? I'm gonna Google Kurt Russell Disney live on the pod. It's good content.
Oh, perfect. I maybe it's also because I love Kurt Russell. He's one of my favorite actors. He's great in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He's great in The Thing. He's great in Big Trouble in Little China. Even when the movie's not very good, I can never say that Kurt Russell did a bad job.
So every time I look at old live action Disney movies, the titles all sound fucking fake. Kurt Russell made 12 Disney features in all, including The Barefoot Executive, The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit, Charlie and the Angel, and Super Dad.
Super Dad. Oh boy.
None of those sound real. You guys ever watch The Biscuit Eater? The Apple Dumpling Gang?
No.
Every time I would look up Gargoyles to watch that on Disney Plus, the Apple Dumpling Gang would always pop up.
Why?
And I'm not sure why.
Because you type in GA for gargoyles and it goes to gang.
Oh, yeah.
Really wants you to watch. Someone's got to watch the Apple Dumpling Gang.
And that person is going to be you, Tommy.
I don't want to watch the Apple Dumpling Gang.
Why not?
Those two foods don't sound like they'd go good together. If this were like the dumpling sweet and sour soup gang, might be another story. Raising Cane's gang, that'd be a good one.
And they lock you out of their store.
Yeah. No. I've changed the subject.
Yeah, Dab, I will pass it to you. Anyways, Tron, great movie. I give it an 8 out of 10 because it can be a bit ridiculous, but I think it's a classic. And if you haven't watched it, then there's something wrong with you.
I agree. Well, anyway, it's time for a roast. All right. I'm bringing out the fire for Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. This is being applauded pretty widely, from what I can tell, as a good movie, or as one of Marvel's best movies, and I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that sort of the first half with like the bus sequence and when they're out like fighting on the skyscraper is pretty cool. But after that, it just becomes complete nonsense and just more of Marvel making really boring, flat movies and kind of digging themselves into a weird hole with the lore and stuff. I don't understand anything that really happened in the last half with the dragons and stuff. But
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Tommy cannot agree nor disagree because he has not seen it.
Oh, no, maybe I have.
Well, have you?
No.
There we go.
Yeah, I think it also has one of the most annoying side characters in the MCU.
At Aquafina.
I have no idea. Just the his girlfriend or whatever with the bow and arrow.
Hotel California.
Yeah, Hotel California.
Yep.
Yeah, she's so obnoxious throughout the whole thing. I don't understand why she was there.
No, her name isn't Hotel California. Her thing is like she tells a story about how one time Shang-Chi was like getting beat up by school bullies and she scared them by singing Hotel California at the top of her lungs. And then later in the movie, she's getting attacked by a bunch of bad guys, and then she temporarily confuses them by screaming Hotel California at the top of her lungs.
That is like the most Marvel callback I've ever heard. Like, what's a
It
quirky
is.
thing they can do?
She is like the definition of quirky, and then of course I'm not gonna really spoil anything, but like, you know, they try to set her up as like this bow and arrow wielder, like this archer, and she kind of just picks it up within a day somehow.
You know, there's a really good Marvel sidekick who's a bow and arrow wielder on Disney Plus right now on Hawkeye. It's actually pretty good.
Gildav's turn.
It's relevant.
Yeah, I'll check out Hawkeye, but overall, this Phase 4 of the MCU has been kind of a flop for me. It's been really disappointing. I'm hoping maybe Spider-Man will do something about it, but who knows?
I kept hearing people describing Shang-Chi as like the first half is a really good martial arts movie and the second half is run-of-the-mill Marvel. And I feel like that almost would like piss me off more as a moviegoer to be like given a nice appetizer and then more of the stuff that the first half was praised for not being, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not quite sure why so many people are like lauding it because it is like the martial arts stuff is fantastic, but then it does just kind of go back to more of the same.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, the whole lore thing is just it's getting so confusing for me with the MCU because I'm not sure what I guess religion or what thing they're going for here because it seems like a lot of the stuff that they would traditionally like traditional Chinese God, what would you call it, like mythology sort of comes true for some reason. And then of course if you go back to like a movie like Black Panther and you see like some of their mythology is true, there's just all this clashing stuff that just makes the whole universe kind of a mess. Like some of these movies just don't fit together, you know what I mean?
So it's like you're saying now that we know what the afterlife is like in Black Panther, that's incongruent with what say Shang-Chi establishes.
Yeah, and I don't even remember if Black Panther really makes any like big bold claims or statements about what happens in the afterlife, but it does do some things with like that with like their rituals and the panther juice or whatever that just I just don't see how this exists in the same universe as the things that happen in Shang-Chi.
It's all part of like wanting to have their cake and eat it too, of mashing everything together, even if it doesn't necessarily work that way.
Yeah, and I mean the DC cinematic universe seems to at least be going sort of all in on the I guess what is it would be the Greek mythology or something.
I suppose.
Yeah, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's Greek stuff.
They seem to be at least sticking to that, but the MCU is just like every culture that isn't America gets whatever they believe in is true.
I guess you could probably attribute that to like comics as a whole, but I feel like that's kind of the thing that made comics a niche nerd thing that was hard to get into, as opposed to Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is trying to be like completely accessible movie loaf, and so it's kind of both and neither.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's I don't know.
Doesn't this movie bring back Abomination too?
For
It
like
for like
a couple
3
minutes.
seconds.
Who
Yeah.
the fuck asked? It was like, we got to bring back the Abomination, everybody's favorite.
I don't know.
Would you say that bringing back a random character is a bit of an abomination?
A bit of an eldritch horror, yes, yeah.
They kind of indirectly confirm that Wong is more powerful than Hulk by doing that too. It's just such a weird choice.
I don't know if this is actually real, but I saw somewhere that the Russo brothers confirmed that Noob Master 69 was Wong. I think if that's true, that's kind of hilarious.
You have to be okay with the fact that Wong could whip everybody's ass in the MCU, because that's why they keep writing him to be conveniently gone for everything that happens.
He just wants to do his own thing. Honestly, I'm down with it.
I envy him. I would do the same thing.
But yeah, that's about all I have to say about that movie. So I'll pass it off to Tommy.
Gotcha. I guess I'll keep the roast train going. Guys, I watched Tick Tick Boom. This is the new music, and it's kind of a roast of Tick Tick Boom in of itself. Kind of a roast of me just being sick to death of dog shit musical movies. Because fucking for some reason this year was all the bullshit of like Dear Evan Hansen and Amazon Cinderella. And now I think because this one is everyone's going nuts for this one. People love this movie.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I think because it's not as aggressively incompetent as Dear Evan Hansen. But and I guess you have to know where I'm coming from. This is the autobiographical musical of the dude who wrote Rent, and I fucking hate Rent. So maybe, and I feel a little bad talking shit because he's also dead. This is a movie about a dead guy. But Andrew Garfield plays John. Oh crap! And now I'm forgetting the name of the guy I'm talking shit about.
John Rentman.
John Rentman. Fuck. John Larson. Shit. All right. So he plays John Larson, and what are our thoughts on Andrew Garfield as a whole? Because he bugged me in this movie.
I like Andrew Garfield.
He was okay as Spider-Man. That's about all I. Oh, and he was in The Social Network as that Brazilian guy, so I guess that was cool too.
He gives me the biggest like divorced dad energy. Like he bursts in when it's not his weekend with his big bushy eyebrows all up, and he's like, "Hey, I got you all the Pokemon cards you were looking for," and he like gives you Digimon cards. That's precisely the guy he is to me. Yeah, I think like because John Larson, he was clearly kind of eccentric and clearly this high energy guy to be in the industry he was in. And when I see Andrew Garfield, I see distinctly someone pretending to be that. You know what I mean? Like he wants to be this goofy performer who improvises musical numbers, but it just I don't know. I guess I take a lot of issue too with like the glorification of the narcissistic artist narrative. Because John Larson wrote this musical himself, so I don't feel bad saying this. He paints himself as kind of an ass. His endeavors to be in musical industry ruin his relationships and like fuck himself up economically. And there's just some and okay, additional context. Lin-Manuel Miranda directed this. I just
The
think
movie?
there's something wildly irresponsible about probably the most successful musical industry man of all time spreading the notion that being consumed by your work and destroying your relationships is to be like held up and celebrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Lin-Manuel. I've seen him rise from the bottom all the way to the top. He's earned it. I think just the gleeful disregard for keeping a roof over your head and maintaining your relationships because you're an artist and you need to create is like whack irresponsible, especially like nowadays.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's like a whole bit where like I said, autobiographical. He has a day job at like a marketing firm. He's like testing out products and like pitching slogans, and he storms out. He's like, "No, I can't be in marketing. It's evil. I don't want to sell things to people. I want to create." I'm just sick to death of that fucking narrative. It's just the shit that makes me roll my eyes so badly.
Yeah,
Uh,
some of us have like you could never actually do that.
No. I think, and it is, yeah, coming from a place of a man who wants to be. It's always hard to be an artist. I don't want to say John Larson isn't to be admired for the work he did, or wasn't, chasing a dream in a tough time, especially because he did go through some shit. If this musical is to be fully believed, it's just coming from like, oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda is going to make this movie with two wildly famous actors because the two leads are Andrew Garfield and Vanessa Hudgens, and they're going to tell you how hard it is. Like, give me a fucking break.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure if I saw a black box production of this by actors who are, maybe struggling at the moment, I'd have an easier time like buying into it. But I just think the people involved stink up this adaptation.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Although I haven't seen Rent, I have no idea the context for any of this.
You don't want to get me started. Ugh. Well, back to you, bud.
All right. I guess I will. I am going to toast Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I didn't know, when did you watch this? Like recently?
Yeah. I watched it a while back. It was one of my favorites. Then I rewatched it with my dad. I spent Thanksgiving with my dad, and there wasn't really any movie that we both wanted to see that was out at the time. So after we had Thanksgiving dinner, we rented Total Recall. And God, it's such a good movie.
That movie whips ass.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you like it. So I've never heard you talk about it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Arnold's 80s, 90s action catalog is so fucking solid that this is somehow, I feel, lower echelon Arnold, but it still kicks ass completely.
Yeah, and I'd say it's one of his best works. It's a ton of fun. Because number one, the effects, the atmosphere, the world building are all top notch. There's that famous scene of like Arnold's eyes popping out of his head.
Oh yeah, oh that grosses me. When they're on Mars or the moon, right?
Yeah. No, it's Mars. And I don't know if that's actually like if you took your helmet off on Mars, I don't know why that would happen, but it's still fucking insane. The effects are all great. Like there's just so much amazing makeup. And it's just like a really cool story. I guess this is also a roast because the 14 version sucks so much ass.
I haven't seen it.
So it's basically like, okay, picture Arnold's character and then suck all the personality out of it.
What's great is that I think so much of Arnold's personality in that initial movie comes from it being at a perfect time where people just unironically worshipped Arnold within the film. Like
Yeah.
because the bad guy's double agent is his wife who's sleeping with Arnold, and I think there's like a neg in there that like she likes sleeping with him a lot better.
Yeah.
The fucking best.
No, and just like I miss movies with. It's hard because it's like I feel like if they tried to do this movie today and you did like a one-liner, people would be like, "Oh, this is the one-liner cliche. Mark one up on CinemaSins." But like they're cool. Like when Arnold kills his wife and he's like, "Consider
Hold
this a
on.
divorce."
Context.
Okay, yeah, okay. So Arnold's
woman
wife
pretending to be his wife.
Yeah, Arnold's wife is like pretending to be his wife. It's a long story, but like they're trying to. Arnold is not actually his character. Quaid is actually like another person, and so his wife is just another agent designed to watch him. And so when he goes off the rails, she tries to kill him. And she's like, sweetheart, come on, we're married. And she tries to shoot him, and then he shoots her, and then he goes, consider that a divorce. It's just...
Sharon Stone in that role, too, is phenomenal. What a...
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
No, that movie has so many great characters. Michael Ironside. Dean Norris plays a minor role, and he's always fantastic.
Arnold kind of has like the runty little coworker who tries to kill him at the very start too. I just remember those little players.
Yeah, it's a total fun fest. If you haven't seen it, viewers in the audience, you need to.
Is it Paul Verhoeven?
Who directed it, or?
Yeah.
I actually don't remember.
It seems like his brand of commentary in how frequently Paul Verhoeven just seems to predict shit in high-scale sci-fi. Now I want to see. It is Paul Verhoeven, yes.
Yeah, he's just super good.
That goes to show just like how... Remember, we're just now trashing modern action. In the 80s, we could talk about Total Recall, which is like the third best Paul Verhoeven movie and the third best Schwarzenegger starring movie, and it's still like fucking rules, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait, what's the best Paul movie then?
RoboCop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny because the villain from RoboCop is also the main villain in Total Recall.
Oh, it's okay, that makes sense. That tracks.
And then what's his second best movie?
Well, okay, that was me kind of conjecturing. I think a case could be made for Starship Troopers.
Interesting. Okay.
Which you haven't seen that one, right?
I have not.
We gotta fucking watch Starship Troopers one of these
It's all
days.
some good sci-fi.
Yeah, that's it for me, so back to Davey.
Okay, hold on a second. Alright. Have you guys heard of, or actually, I'm pretty sure you've heard of this, this horrible new Crunchyroll show called High Guardian Spice?
Oh, yes.
Uh-oh.
I'm not gonna go into the politics or the background of this. I think that anybody who, is going after it because it was produced by women is going after it for the completely wrong reasons. Because there are a lot of reasons to hate this show that don't involve the production crew. Mm-hmm. Mostly that it's terrible. So I think, honestly, I'd rather watch Ruby over this, and that's saying something. But yeah, just a terrible sort of magical, almost Harry Potter-like show that has, I mean, the animation is decent, I guess.
There are, it's a little jank. If you look for it, you'll find the janky spots.
Yeah, but overall, for something that wasn't like a huge budget production, it's okay. It's really the writing where it just completely falls apart. The scene in particular that I always think of when I'm like thinking of how bad the show is the one in which a teacher or something sits the main character down and explains what being transsexual means to the audience of 5-year-olds in this adult show.
Transgender.
Yeah, transgender. But the thing is, though, that they take like a potion or something like once a month, which is such strange world building, honestly, that they included this in here as like an education lesson without providing like I don't even know how to describe it, like a better method. I feel like there has to be a better way to accomplish what they're trying to do here, and it's just not working. It's a total mess. The main characters suck. The side characters, from what I've seen, have gotten better reception. Like the antagonists have been are apparently better people. So there's that.
Oh, lovely.
And some of the voice acting is just is.
I know that like a lot of them have recorded remotely. And I think that's like, as someone who's a voice actor, that I've heard it can be very difficult if you don't mix it like a certain way. And I think, unfortunately, it was that way because, yeah, I've heard a clip, and it sounds like you can tell people are using different mics, and a lot of times it's a bit distracting.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And you know what? For someone who got the first season of their show made during a pandemic, hats off for that alone. That said, I'm not gonna not laugh at I am Slime Boy. I'm
It's a
sorry.
very memeable show just for that, I guess. So they get some free press. That's
I kind of want to. There's two things I want to kind of talk with the whole transgender scene. Because it's this character who goes through this kind of labored explanation of I'm transgender. What's transgender? Transgender is this. Da, 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 da. When I first
Yeah.
watched the scene, I was like, okay, you know what? This is probably for little kids. Like, I was like, this has to be like intended for, and there's room for that. And I'm all for the public education through media. Then I see another scene where someone's like, let's go break shit. So I guess this isn't for kids.
It's supposed to be like an adult show, but yeah, it's just a completely random moment where it's so condescending to anybody who's watching.
Yeah, someone,
Sorry, Will.
they're like, I was just gonna say, just like the way she says, because she says, I don't know that word. Like, that's just a very kids show phrase, you know? I don't know that word. Not like, what does that mean? I don't know that word.
Yeah.
Even let's assume for a second kids can watch this, because like honestly, kids are seeing worse on TikTok. I don't care if my kid hears the word shit. Not that I have a kid. I mean hypothetically. I find the child psychology of media very interesting. Like I've read a lot of pieces on how Sesame Street properly talks to children, and the thing is, when you're teaching kids, you can't make things ambiguous. So when you suggest that transgender people take a magic potion every now and then, I get the parallel you're going for, but I can't help but wonder if that does more damage because you're painting them as like otherworldly magic people who like take a potion to you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It almost implies like they can't just be who they are. They have to completely rewrite the rules of the world in order to do that.
Right. And hey, you know what? Take it from three cis dudes. Well, boys, we did it. I think we're to be taken with a grain of salt in that regard, but, you know, as people vested in the education of the public, and on the far off hypothetical that this is for kids, I could see that getting pretty complicated.
But
Sorry.
I haven't had the misfortune of actually sitting through and watching the show start to finish. I don't think I ever will. But I wouldn't recommend it.
No. Yeah, well, like I said, hats off for making your thing happen, but the bad press has happened as
Yeah, true. But that's about all I got to say on that, so I'll pass it off to Tommy.
all right. Well, I've been playing the Animal Crossing DLC, the Happy Home Paradise. This is, and I'm toasting it because I'm bad at clarifying that. This is an extended campaign where an extra island opens up where you get to make vacation homes for various villagers, and you get supplies and decoration fitting to their personality, among other things. And you get to just really take the wheel and basically do interior design simulator with all kinds of zany characters and fun decorations. I think I said this last time. The one thing, like the one big thing about Animal Crossing is I just love exploring villagers. There's 15 elements of slightly different color, and they all represent a different subculture and have a weird reference for their name. And I'm all about that shit. That just makes my Spectrum brain like completely. So getting to interact with more than my set of 10 you're limited to on your island, I was like ecstatic. And it doesn't disappoint. The the very first home you make is gonna kind of suck because you only get like a small number of items. But like, let's say you make one for this elephant who loves to read, you get a lot of book-related shit. Your next one is for I don't know, a bird who wants a disco club. You get their shit on top of the book stuff. So you get to eventually mix and match and just do a lot of really fun stuff. I'm really proud of a lot of my creations that I've put together.
And
Yeah.
so what kind of like what would you say you're most proud of?
Well, I'm gonna be partial to the one for my favorite villager. That's Rodney, the smug hamster. He's wonderful. I won't let anyone slander him. So each villager has like a request. They say, I want my house to look like this. His was Movie Magic Studio. So I made him, I gave him this big old like catering table and sci-fi walls, a big like curtain screen against the wall. I'm very happy with how it came out.
Huh. That seems really in depth.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd say
Yeah,
the one thing
they added a ton to do with the customization.
Yeah. You have coworkers too. You get this big manatee named Wardell who is wonderful. He speaks in like one-word sentences and he teaches you how to add sound to different places and it's phenomenal.
And I love manatees so much.
They're so cute. It's wonderful. I'd say the one thing that kind of blows is that your boss, Lottie, she's cute. She's an otter. She's fine. She sometimes sways you to do things you don't feel like. Like she'll
Like
be
what?
like I'll go in and you put on your uniform to signify you're working. And I'd put on my uniform and she'll just go, "All right, we're making the library today." And I'm like, "Fuck, I want to go make a house." And if that's just not where my energy is. And you know what? That's symptomatic of Animal Crossing becoming a game. Because with this with this extension, it has direction in that way. In that Lottie will ask you to build the restaurant and build the doctor's office and the school, which is, I think, some direction it needed. But because the rest of the game is so free, and I'm like, wait, I wanted to go make Sid's streaming HQ. I don't always want to put full effort into building the fucking schoolhouse. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. I've been having a lot of fun with it too. But I actually really like the sort of theme buildings where you're sort of given a goal instead of just trying to make it for somebody.
I do like those. I just don't like when I just get reverse psychology when Lottie makes me do it.
That's true. And like you touched on earlier, I really enjoy the fact that it basically gives you a way to incorporate more than 10 villagers and do stuff for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You make anything for your favorite villager yet, Dav?
I have made like a house for Anka, but it's not very good yet, so I'm still working on like expanding that.
All right. I could make a dirty joke right now, but I think we all know.
Yeah, we all. If you know, you know.
If
it's
you
like
know,
that Mr.
you know.
Incredible meme. People who don't know. People who know.
The funny cat.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to toast Encanto.
Okay.
We saw that just last night, all of us, and our friends Brandon and Troy. It's just really spot on. The music is fantastic. You know, you expect that much from Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Me,
So-
20 minutes ago. Fuck Lin-Manuel Miranda. He did do a good job with this.
No, yeah, I guess I'm going to toast, but also slightly roast it. I thought the main character was really enjoyable. And I thought the concept was really cool. The animation was really good. I will say it could have been so much better.
It did feel a little like they weren't sure where to go with it.
Yeah. There's a lot of, to quote Dav, there's a lot of buildup that doesn't really pay off.
Yeah.
Because, like, it kind of builds up this really cool story about, if you've seen the trailers, you're like, the magic's fading away. And then we don't really quite know why it's fading away or how.
Mm-hmm.
And, it doesn't, it wraps itself up, but not in a super satisfying way. I think, it's easy to compare it to Coco. I think Coco was a lot better. Um, but that being said, Encanto was still a fun movie, and although the bar is not high, I would say it's my favorite animated film of the year.
All right. I Yeah, I'm a little of because I kind of agree, and I wonder if part of it is just me kind of sadly growing out of Disney movies, like at least in a modern context. Because I felt just like kind of a deflation with the ending of this, and a little bit Raya, and a little bit Moana. And I feel like those all have just the very emotionally driven, oh, the answer was inside you all along. And it's kind of more of a, because I do think kids kind of need that to a certain extent, but it's just not always. Do you kind of see where I'm coming from? Do you get
Yeah,
kind of?
no, I think
Yeah.
my biggest problem with Disney movies, they don't really have good villains anymore.
No, it's
I mean,
true.
the best one recently was probably the villain of Coco.
Yeah. Um, I will say though, like, and another so for various reasons, and I'm not gonna go super in depth. I rewatched Sleeping Beauty today, 1959, and that one just has so many scenes of characters just living and taking it very mellow and very slow. This one is crammed with like twice as many characters and is quite a bit longer than Sleeping Beauty, and the plot never stops. And I feel like it needs that time Disney movies used to take to breathe. You
Yeah.
know? Like there's a whole bit in Sleeping Beauty of just the two kings being goofballs. And I think there's amazing character work in Encanto. The lady who changes the weather with her mood and the boy who shapeshifts, they do some incredible stuff, especially in their song. It's chef's kiss. It's so good. But it's always in the name of a development, which makes it sound economic, but it makes the movie feel very busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally agree on that.
Hmm. Ultimately, I do really like this one, though. I think I was kind of expecting an upward spiral from Raya, whereas I feel kind of from the same cloth, especially because right before Raya was like Ralph Breaks the Internet and Frozen 2, which was like my point of no return. I thought we were lost. I
Oh
thought this
yeah.
was good.
Yeah, I just my biggest problem with Disney movies nowadays, like I said, is the villains. Because there were so many twist villains, and I think people were like, okay, we're tired of the twist villains. And I think somehow that got morphed into we're tired of villains.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so now there's just none. Like, I'm trying to think of. Because Ralph Breaks the Internet didn't have a villain. Frozen 2 didn't have a villain. Raya kind of did, but it wasn't very good. And even
Yeah.
then, it wasn't like quite like pure villain. Like,
Hmm.
I call me unreasonable. I want like a Hades again.
No,
Just an
completely.
actor that totally like hams it up.
Exactly. And I think that's a broad discussion for another day, but yeah, I have no idea what Disney's even gonna make next, so it's kind of
I
hard
mean,
to say.
next up, I think is Turning Red, and I don't think
Well,
that's
that's
going to have a
Pixar.
villain.
That's
Oh
Pixar.
yeah,
Not quite the same, I guess.
but that's. I mean, I guess it ended up as more of a roast, but I did enjoy it.
We do like it, yes. We do
Yeah,
like things sometimes.
it just needed some more.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
music is really good. I do think that the characters are, for the most part, very good. Because one thing I'll give it over Coco is that I like actually remember most of the family in this movie.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Coco,
Coco,
you only remember Miguel, Mama Coco, and then the evil mom. Well,
yeah,
not
everybody else
evil.
kind of blended together. But
Yeah.
There is just that. I feel like so many Disney and Pixar movies lately have just such a narrative of like a mean-spirited family element. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're
Like
right.
there's like Coco. Like I almost didn't like Coco because like the family in that just like genuinely upset me. And Frozen has like the trolls that are kind of, and then Luca's mom tries to make him go into the depths, and
Oh
then
yeah,
this a little bit hinges on that too.
yeah. You're not wrong.
I don't know what's going on there.
Well, Dav,
oh,
it's
it's
up to
my
you now.
turn. All right. Well, I guess I'll finish off on sort of like a middling uh Ghostbusters Afterlife. It was okay. It was pretty good for the most part. I
enjoyed
wouldn't
it.
say it was great. Yeah, it was a good time, but like as Tommy pointed out, the last like 10 minutes or so of that movie were just kind of pathetic.
Kind of a bra moment, you know.
It was so lame.
So much. I kind of agree that like I was into it for the first chunk, and I think I probably wouldn't be if I think that lead actress I was saying is like phenomenal. It's hard to find good kid actors. I think she's super good. And maybe it's only because Finn Wolfhard was making her look good with his awful, awful quips. But I agree, the last 10 minutes are like a modern nightmare. I hated it. The next 5.5 minutes of podcast contains major spoilers for Ghostbusters Afterlife.
It's like, oh, well, okay, we're really going all in on bringing the dead actors back to life to exploit our emotions, huh?
Ugh.
Yeah, I
I
think.
guess I'll put in the spoiler warning before this. Sorry.
What? Yeah, I was going to say I think it can be best described. It's a bit of a bro moment. That ending.
And like, I kind of raised a similar concern with Carrie Fisher in Star Wars, and people were like, "Well, I think she would have wanted it," and so I don't doubt that, and I don't even. It's more just the uncanny awareness that I'm looking at the recreation of a dead person, you know?
I think it's even like, again, I liked Ghostbusters. I think it's a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it, but also the fact that the ending is quite literally a dead Harold Ramis comes to help the Ghostbusters is a bit like,
It
ooh,
might not even be so bad if he wasn't a literal ghost narratively and meta figuratively, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, it's one thing if you could recreate Peter Cushing for Star Wars. All right, little weird, but fine. It's a weird way to acknowledge that someone is dead and dead.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I I don't know. Also, like I don't really understand the whole legacy of Ghostbusters, anyways, because the first movie is fantastic, and they have never managed to make anything near as good since. But people pretend like it's like this huge franchise that has this huge nostalgia for it.
I get that. I'm one of the people who likes Ghostbusters too,
I
but
will say,
Oh, really?
I don't get why people think it's, an abomination.
It's not like terrible. It's better than 2016 Ghostbusters, obviously.
there,
That's not a high bar.
let me
Yeah.
say,
No.
let me say, there are two phenomenal Ghostbusters animated series from the 80s and 90s that I wouldn't surprise. Friggin' Real Ghostbusters and Extreme Ghostbusters are both excellent TV shows. It wouldn't surprise me if that was part of what was fueling the flame.
Could be, yeah, I could see that. I don't think anything's really gonna come close to topping the first movie because it's just such a funny, like flawless, cynical movie. It's great.
And it's like someone pointed out, this is a movie where Dan Aykroyd gets a blowjob from a ghost, and maybe Afterlife shouldn't take itself so
No,
seriously.
it's like this emotional thing. It's really trying to like play with your heartstrings, but
Mhm.
it's not that deep.
I'm 14 and this is deep.
Exactly. But it's still a good time because I mean, compared to like most movies that have been coming out lately, it at least felt like a movie.
Yeah. Maybe
There
that's
was
why I think that does definitely like add to why I, enjoyed it. Cuz a lot of movies I haven't enjoyed in theaters.
yeah,
Like I'm not sure what's going on.
A lot of stuff. That's a loaded question.
yeah, and I saw a review on Letterboxd, I think, where somebody pointed out like nobody is reacting to the existence of ghosts with the earth-shattering realization that they should be. But
I
I don't
suppose,
know.
yeah. I
Which
think it's
I see it because this movie does feel like it's trying to be a bit more serious, but there is still some pretty good comedy in it.
mhm.
Also, the Walmart scene needed to not happen.
Ugh.
What's wrong with the Walmart scene?
It's very clearly just product placement, and
I mean, I guess, but
also
like, would it? I feel like it would be the same if it was in like a, I don't know, Payless or something.
I don't think it should have been in a store at all, because I think there would have been a lot of witnesses to what happened there.
It's
But
kind
it
of a
kind of seems like
backlogged
nobody
town.
acknowledges it.
Because that's where they find marshmallows, and that's where we bring back the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Remember the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man?
Yeah, and he's got to be a cute baby version too, because
Move
that's
over,
the thing now.
Grogu.
But still, it was a fun movie. That's I agree with Will. It was a 7 out of 10, but it was fun.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's the second movie in a row where we're toasting it. Here's everything shitty about it.
Nah, I didn't even say I was toasting that. Just sort of like a mid, it's kind of a mixed movie for me.
Yeah. All right.
But
Mind
yeah,
if I take the wheel one last
yeah,
time?
I'll pass it off to you now.
All right. I'll make this one pretty quick. Not much needs to be said about it. I've been rewatching a lot of, speaking of ghosts, old Adult Swim Space Ghost content.
Yeah.
It is. I think I envy Dav walking into my apartment for our Friendsgiving and just seeing Space Ghost on the TV. I wonder if that gave any kind of whiplash. Gosh, because I guess a little history lesson. One of my favorite anecdotes ever is that Cartoon Network was initially just a hub for Tim Turner's Ted Turner. His library of old Hanna-Barbera and Tom and Jerry and Looney Tune cartoons. At some point, they were like, we need original content, but we need a hit that'll fund that first. So they repurposed old cells of Space Ghost, one of the Hanna-Barbera superheroes, and made him do a talk show. And it is the stupidest, Gav described it as animated Eric Andre, and I kind of love that, because I think it is, sorry, oh, were you going to say something?
No, I was just laughing.
It's like the dawn of cheese monkey
Planet of the
random
Apes.
humor, but I think this is aged well because it was first and not really aware, because it's totally just a bunch of jack-offs at Cartoon Network trying to put something together, and I love that charm to it. And it has branched off into a leviathan of spin-offs. There's Cartoon Planet, which was like a block of cartoons where Space Ghost and Zorak and Brack would talk in between them. And at some point, Adult Swim put together those interstitials as a series that I would unwittingly watch on Adult Swim as a kid, like before school at 6:30. And it's the first time I grew to love, like, just TV that was barely TV. I was like, what even is this nonsense? And I just have such a soft spot for three slackers talking between Yogi Bear cartoons in like a halfway cynical way. Oh man, they brought back Cartoon Planet in 2012, but I don't think it's coming back anytime soon, because C. Martin Croker, he was Zorak and he was Moltar. He's passed away recently. I don't know if we're gonna see. That bums me out, because like we would not have Cartoon Network as it is without him and George Lowe and Andy doing just the dumbest shit in the world, and I love it for that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just that good absurdism.
Ugh, man. It's something I can absolutely. I put on old compilations of it from YouTube, or I find it on HBO. I could go on and on. Man. We ready for news?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Say so.
All right. 4 bulletins. This is going to be a news insanity sandwich. First piece of news is bananas. Second two, Last one is bananas. First up, Chris Pratt is Garfield.
Bruh. Yeah. There's just nothing like. I don't think it's even like a, putting aside everything, I don't think it's good cast. It just doesn't make sense.
I hear the rumor that he's doing so much voice work because he doesn't want to get vaccinated.
Oh, gee, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Yeah, and it's like those of you subscribed to my channel, I just did a fucking Garfield retrospective. Lorenzo Music's Garfield is so good. No one could replace it. This definitely can't. Lorenzo Music, who was also in the Ghostbusters cartoon. I tied it back together. Yeah.
Oh
10
yeah.
points. 10 points. Bam. Right. Another thing, kind of just for me, Dragon Ball The Breakers releases a trailer. This is a asymmetrical action game where one person is the Raider, a big strong Dragon Ball villain, and everyone else is not Goku, is not Vegeta, and so on. They are the underpowered likes of Bulma and Oolong trying to survive. I fucking love this concept. I think this looks really good.
I think that's a cool idea. Even as someone who's like hasn't been into too much Dragon Ball stuff, I think it's fun.
Yeah, I haven't really ever been into Dragon Ball either, but I mean, asymmetrical action games have always been pretty fun to me.
Really amped for that one. I hope it turns out good. Well, we're gonna get into it on this one. We got a trailer for Turning Red, Pixar's new movie.
God, it looks so weird. It's so gross.
I think it looks so cute. I think it looks fun.
Gav,
So I also
back me
think
up
it
on
looks.
this one.
I think it looks like fun. Like I'm looking forward to it, but I also do think that it's a strange art style they're going for with it.
I mean, I think it's I think we're always complaining that animation looks a certain way. Do we not like that it's distinct? What we're
No, I just don't like the way. Like, there's ways to do distinction, like in Spider-Verse, but then this one, it's just there's something about it that goes deep into the uncanny valley.
I guess
It's
I
like
just don't
2D trying to be 3Ds. It's strange.
it doesn't really offend me personally. Like, I don't see it didn't even strike me as terribly outlandish. I noticed stuff. I don't know. I guess I want to compliment it as someone who teaches kids of about that age group. That's kids today completely doing stupid raps and doing stupid poses 800%. Like, I think it's
Yeah.
hard to write kids accurately, especially because fads and what they're surrounded by is always changing. That group of friends is like the most accurate group of kids I've seen in a while. Are we ready for the doozy? That's
Well, let's hear it.
we got the announcement and first trailer for Warner Brothers Multiversus.
I'm not holding my breath because I'm excited and I'm glad that they did like Ultra Instinct Shaggy, but I don't know. Part of me thinks that they're just trying to, because I think every company is kind of realizing that Smash Bros is leaving a huge hole and that they could be the ones to fill that hole. But
Right.
it could be like a Street Fighter V situation too, where it starts off not so great, but then gradually it adds on and becomes a really cool game.
Exactly. The fact that it's free to play is a little concerning. Some of that footage was janky, but as you pointed out, we're starting to get the idea that it's altered to get the idea across, like it's slowed down.
Yeah.
Like fucking hey, DC Comics, Game of Thrones, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, and Looney Tunes, that's like all my favorite shit in the world. So putting that into a Smash Brothers should really be my dream come true. But this seems awfully sudden and a bit craven, too.
Yeah. Also, I think some of the roster choices are questionable, such as making Finn and Jake two different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like an option for just like a really cool, because now Finn's just going to be like standard swordsman.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you could have had like a swordsman with shapeshifting abilities, and now we've just got like Jake in a vacuum, which is weird.
Yeah, that's pretty much the one complaint I have. I think everyone else is. I do like that they have this very consistent art style that everybody's in. Not that like Smash has everyone looking precisely as they do where they're pulled from. That's cool. I kind of do like the idea of bringing everyone to this kind of cool angular look. So Arya fucking going face to face with Tom and Jerry isn't completely laughable. They're kind of on that common ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll happily give this a chance, especially considering I have nothing to lose. It'll be free, and that's probably what they're banking on me saying. Moo moo. But
I mean,
we'll
I
see how
hope
it turns out. Huh?
I hope that the free-to-play, the stuff that you have to pay for is like costumes. Not like, oh, you have to, you get one mode that's training and you have to pay to, play with friends.
That would suck. I guess we just got to see. Yeah.
I don't think they would lock multiplayer of all things behind a paywall, mostly because that would de-incentivize you from paying for microtransactions.
True.
I guess it's probably a Fortnite situation where you can play it as it is, and then you can pay to get, new stuff.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Who are you guys hoping for roster-wise?
I'm hoping we get some horror movie villains. Right now, Pennywise, I think, would probably be cool because he can shapeshift.
That'd be cool, yeah.
I still say Ben 10.
You know what I say?
Who?
Space Ghost!
That would be really cool.
That'd be great. If we can get George Lowe to do some voice acting. Ooh.
They would, because they got Matthew Lillard.
Urkel would be kind of fun too, because Jaleel White is always down to be Urkel, and he'd have some fun inventions.
Yeah, my biggest thing that I'm worried about, and I say this with every, crossover game, no matter what, I don't want it to be so, like, I don't know if it's the right term, but, like, monogamous, where it's like, if there's, 5 characters from this one series. If you're taking from a wide variety, like, as huge as Warner Bros., it disappoints me that we have even just 2 Adventure Time reps, 2 Steven Universe reps, 4 DC reps,
Yeah. I guess they gotta pull from what's really popular to draw people in. Then once they have a consistent player base, they don't have to worry as much.
That is true, yeah.
Well, we're just about out of time here. Hope you guys don't mind. We'll probably take a break for December, because December's busy. I'm going to be out of town, and we'll be kind of all over the place.
Yeah, although a bunch of good stuff comes out in December. Spider-Man, The Kingsman.
What am I... There's something I was thinking about. Well, that's just me saying I'm gonna cap the champagne for toasting and turn down the heater for roasting just while 2021 wraps up, and we'll be back with our highlights and lowlights during the month of my birth.
Until then, stay multiversin'.
Stay Encantoin'.
Space Ghost!